And good evening. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. Coming to you live from Townsend, Montana. And we're going to be live in Vida, Oregon tonight, too. I'm really excited about this show. We got some great stuff for you. Our sponsor is Cristiano Family Dentistry, where everyone matters. And Alfred Taylor, another great organization in town. Their tagline is Now Mine, Endless Possibilities. What they do is they don't take care of. What they do is they make people who have different abilities, lives amazing. So people there, some people would call them a caregiver, but that's really not they are. They're really a partner. And if you're looking to get a job that is actually rewarding, you will be tired at the end of the day, but you will learn so much about yourself by working with people with different abilities. And our other sponsor is Compton Family Wines out of Philomath, Oregon. And if you guys go to their winery, it's right downtown, taste their wine and you'll love it, and tell them you saw it on Rick Dancer right here, you'll save $15 off your first 2 bottles or more of an order. So they do that for us. So our topic tonight, I'm going to show you a little video. A while back, I did a video for the folks in the timber industry on, it was a big thing on the fires up in the McKinsey. And the 2 women you're going to meet tonight and get to talk to, I'll just say, because it's my show, they stood out to me. They're amazing. I really like who they are and what they're about, and that they're flexible and able to change their minds. And now they're educating people. And it's just a great story. So I'm going to show you a little video first, and then we're going to meet them because they're joining us live from Vida. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. So first we start with the open. Boom. God, I love that. It feels so powerful. And let me show you one of our sponsors here.
Answer here. Before the fall rush sets in, now is the time to get in to see the dentist. Oregon's best dentist, and still my dentist, is Dr. Michael Bratlin at Chris Dental in Eugene. Dr. Bratlin and his staff are second to none. You have a tooth you need crowned? Give them a call and they'll get you in ASAP. Remember, at Chris Dental, everyone is welcome, vaccinated or not.
For the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So maybe we can, that's our new end of life plan since the trees are gone, is it we'll just work ourselves to death.
Kate McMichaels and Teresa Hauser bought 39 acres of timberland as their spot to build their dream home and retire, managing a mature forest. The wildfires destroyed almost all their timber, but not their dream. It's just changed it a bit.
I don't think we've met a single person in forestry and timber who doesn't love the forest. Yeah.
And so has their perspective on what it means to manage a forest.
They're not out to, cut it down and create the Sahara out of Oregon. People are here to make our forests last.
The house is under construction, and what they call their tree babies are in the process of being planted. Retirement is now bigger than a place to live, much bigger.
Oh, this is totally the solution. I mean, the amount of carbon that keeps getting released because we don't do fuels mitigation. We don't allow for some of those fuel treatments to happen in forests. We don't allow thinning to happen. I mean, I think the people who care most about the carbon question and climate change are people who know and love and care for forests.
Kate, Teresa, and many people in the industry understand the complexities of the issues, but for them, this is personal. What they do right now will determine the future of more than their forest, so much more.
The forest we fell in love with is gone, but the woodland we've come to know and that we feel responsible to and responsible for, it's still here. And it needs us, and we need it. We can kind of heal from this trauma together. And I can't wait, for the next several decades to pass so that we actually can walk in under canopy again. But we'll do our best by our little trees.
So they join us, Kate and Teresa. How you doing?
Okay. Wow, there's a lot less vegetation on that ground.
So how have things gone?
Wow. We were super lucky after the fire that we were able to get a salvage harvest of our oldest stand of trees. And we were able to get little fir babies into the ground. And we had like 90% mortality on what got planted that first year. The spring drought and the heat dome. I mean, we were hand watering some of these little ones, and it wasn't enough. We had amazing, great looking seedlings, you know, all bushy, and they turned orange overnight.
Wow.
Just couldn't do it. So we got another planting this year, and we're not babying them as much. And, you know, knock on wood, it seems there might be a little bit, well, there might be better, or what would be more expected, survival versus mortality.
Harder than you thought?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So
And
you have a new respect for the forest industry?
yes, yes. I mean, our whole lives now seem to be, what's the humidity level and how cool is it? Can we go out and do fuels, you know, keep doing vegetation management seems to be our life now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of people go, oh yeah, things are greening up, and they are, but a lot of that green is ragwort, and it's blackberry, and it's thistle, and it's all this stuff you don't want at all. And then some of the rest of it is grasses, which if you weren't also trying to grow trees wouldn't be so bad. But, you know, this isn't necessarily grassland. It's, you know, woodland, and the grasses just so compete with the trees.
So
go ahead.
Let me take you back. So you guys are partners in life, you're partners in business, you're partners in, you're co-parenting trees.
Not well. Do not let authorities know.
We're not going to start a podcast on parenting trees.
Right.
But how did this was your dream? You guys were from California and you came to Oregon. So kind of tell people a little bit about that.
Well, of course, part of the irony was leaving California. I mean, I was a teacher, world religions and ethics, and you can't afford to retire in California if you're a teacher. And so we always had loved hanging out in the woods and hiking and backpacking and all of that sort of thing. I grew up in Idaho with trees, conifers everywhere. I kind of love conifers. You'd always dreamed of running away to the conifers, running away to the Northwest. And then the fires in California, I mean, this was a few years ago, we're getting closer and closer and closer in terms of that 6 degrees of separation. And so we're like, okay, let's move further north. We'll hope there's more rainfall, all of that. I mean, I hope we didn't bring the fire with us. I mean, I think the 2020 Labor Day fires were big enough that it was, more than just us moving up here. But
yeah, we were doing traveling, during her summer vacations, and every place we'd go for our camping and our backpacking, it's like, well, could we live here? And I mean, we're also sensitive to the fact that as a lesbian couple, we need to, be conscious of that as we look at where we might want to live. And then a dear friend had a 50th birthday celebration up here, and we kind of piggybacked that with some other stuff. And we really liked Oregon. You had spent some time here when you were a kid because you had family here. You started looking at land sites because we knew we had spent a lot of real hardcore inner city time when we were in NorCal, and we kind of wanted a little patch of land we could care for. And so she started looking at land. I guess the short version would be, kept looking at it. This place kept showing up. She wasn't sure. We were still years ahead of what we were thinking. And then finally one day I said, okay, so if you log in tomorrow and it's gone, how will you feel? And bad. It's like, okay, so write the listing agent. And
he was amazing. We had a slightly longer winter Christmas break that year, and so lots of things happened. So suddenly, yeah, I wrote to Fred, and he wrote back and answered every question.
Fred Sperry, Northwest Forest Properties, big shout out.
Yeah, awesome guy. Yeah, you ask a lot of questions, he'll answer every single one of them. I mean, I look back now and we were so naive in all our questions, and it's like he never once laughed at us.
Never once said, you shouldn't be allowed to buy a woodland property because you don't know what you're doing.
You two are stepping over your bounds here.
Yeah. And we didn't know anything about buying land out of state, and he walked us through the whole process. And I mean, he was amazing, actually, and started to show us what we were even looking at. We had never thought we would own a forest property. And then, we get up here and go, okay, we've done enough education, whether it was my teaching in a high school or the two of us had done a lot of popular education around social justice things and faith and justice things. And, we both know that just because you love something doesn't mean you know shit about it without learning something. And right. So, we got connected to the extension and started taking every class we possibly could. And
you said when we had talked that like the people in the timber industry just helped you. So, I mean, really got they didn't treat you like you were idiots. And
they so could have, because we were.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't know the first thing. I remember, and Lauren's not Lauren Grand of the extension isn't strictly speaking timber industry, but she's in that broader field of forestry. And so we had her up to kind of walk the land with us just to help us know what we were looking at. And she'd say something like, oh, that's a really good leader on that tree. And it's like, I don't know what that means. What's a leader? And
you were so stupid.
Yeah. And she didn't laugh. She just, okay. So, and probably a good assessment for her. What kind of level of knowledge are we talking about? It's like, okay, we're talking about no knowledge.
So when you guys came up here, you told me when we were talking one time that you kind of had a whole misconception about the industry.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were good, Bay Area, California liberals, right? And backpackers and assume, wilderness is better. And if people don't touch it, it's better. And, and that a clear cut is and you only see what you're prepared to see. So until we learned actually that replanting happened, and certainly in Oregon, it's the law. I never noticed a tree growing in a clear cut. You just assumed devastation had been left behind. And it's like, I remember one of the first trips we made back to California for something after we'd moved up here and started taking classes. We were looking at this harvest area, kind of changed our language too, looked at this harvest area, and I'm like, oh my God, look at those trees. Because we could we saw seedlings because we knew to look for them.
Yeah.
Right.
You really never see what you're not prepared to, what you don't know to look for.
And one of the things that we had talked about this too, that never gets talked about, is this is a huge answer, not the answer, but a huge contributor to stopping global warming and climate change.
Well, because trees don't lose their carbon when you cut them down. They may lose their carbon back into the atmosphere when they burn in a catastrophic fire. But if you cut them down, they become little carbon storage machines. I mean, our homes are, holding on to carbon.
Our
furniture. I mean, most of us feel better living in wood too, in wood construction. They do studies of that it makes people more productive. It calms them down. It makes them feel more connected to the world that they live in. So, I mean, even that would be its own step toward a solution. Well, not to mention holding on to that, storing that carbon for the lifetime of a wood product.
And the carbon that is used to make steel, which is your other option, is over the top in terms of that. But so how come, Teresa and Kate, this never gets discussed? It never comes into to play when people are having this conversation. And if I bring it up, I mean, and I was watching John Stossel the other day, and he got flagged from Facebook because he had just mentioned that. And he was fair. He was saying it's not the answer. He said, here's some other things, but it really is a narrative that people don't want. To me, it's like, I think you could get a lot of people planting trees and feeling good about living in a home with more wood products.
Yeah.
Supporting
what it does.
Yeah. I mean, mass timber is another great one. So there are so many different pieces to a solution, and cutting back on using those very heavy in fossil fuel use kind of building materials. I mean, it could be a change. I mean, hard to know who doesn't want us having those conversations. I mean, it's not tree industry people. I mean, forestry people love having that conversation.
Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, life is complex. And so it'd be easy to say, well, you know, what I can do to stop global warming is I'm not going to eat meat, and I'm going to work on shutting down the beef industry. And okay, that's a perspective, right. But part of what happens is there's a lot that goes into it. And so like the beef industry, where you're clearing rainforest, where there aren't environmental protections in, say, the Amazon, and that gets converted from forest land to pasture land for beef, that might be more problematic. I don't want to say that because I don't know that much about it. I pretty much just said everything I know about that situation. So I'd want to know more. But I also think one of the reasons we don't talk about stuff is there's a level of complexity. We don't want to think. We want to be able to just go with our feelings. And oh my God, what if what I think I know isn't what is real?
Right.
And it's hard, you know, learning new stuff is hard. It can be painful. It can be exhausting. It can be demanding. But I think all of us need to be able to find that little bit of humility in ourselves that, well, maybe I don't have all the answers, and maybe there's some middle ground. Yeah, I think it'd be awesome if we never cut a tree, but I like toilet paper.
And books.
And I don't think growing bamboo here would be the answer, because that's, you know, horribly invasive and not designed for here. But, you know, if I were a panda, that would be great. That's what they eat. So, okay, I'm going to stop.
Hold that thought for just a second. I got a couple commercials I want to run through.
Pinot Noirs are best between 6 and 8 years. They're kind of at their prime. And this is our 2016 Llewellyn Pinot Noir. So in our tasting room, we're on our 2016, which is kind of a treat to get to taste that old of a vintage. And this is our Old Vine Collector Series. And then we do have our Garden Series wines too. So 2 different price points. This is the higher tier, and this is the, I say an economical tier, but also just a lovely wine. And this is mainly that's out there nationally distributed is our Garden Series wines.
So, you know, Simon Sinek is very popular these days with why. Well, the why and DD, not a lot of ambiguity there. Okay. You know, I don't have to spend a lot of time explaining to new employees what we do and why we do it. It's very, very apparent, you know, versus, you know, you look at other things and, you know, you look at it and say, you know, kind of what do we do? You know, why do we matter? You know, why should I feel good about my job every day? And I think that is something that we provide for people, is that connection to a why, that what you're doing makes a difference to the individuals, to the larger community, is very, very, very clear. And I think in this world with all the turmoil and everything that's going on, that sense of purpose and connection is very, very important. I think there's a lot of people out there looking for that.
I have the best sponsors, and
that was really cool.
You know, and Compton Wines, you guys will love this. So I have trouble saying this word because it's just a hard word. It's like Bureau of Land Management. Try that one 3 times fast. The Comptons at their winery, they do regenerative farming.
Oh, yeah.
So in the winter, they bring the pigs and the goats and the sheep in, and they poop and fertilize and do all the stuff they're supposed to do, and everything in the farm replenishes itself. So everything, they're caring about that part of it, which is really what you got. And don't you think I hope I'm not going to stick you in a box here, but don't you think in the environmental community would look and go try to, instead of building these walls, help bring us in, show us. I mean, my Compton vineyard folks, they're not, I don't know where they are politically. I don't ask my clients where they are, but it's like, I think most people want to do good things, and we want to do the right thing. But first we have to figure out what that right thing is. And don't tell me when I know that burning trees is bad. With trees sitting on the ground rotting also decomposes and puts more carbon in the air. So that would be fuel mitigation. We could go in and do some thinning like that. When you grow a garden, my tomatoes, I remember the first time a friend of mine, she had a tomato plant. It was huge. And I said, she goes, I'm not getting any tomatoes. And I said, we need to thin.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, what does that mean? I said, that means you turn your head, because you're not going to like this. And then just pluck, 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 pluck. And she came back, she went, and she looked, and guess what? 3 weeks later, she had tomatoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, the thing that seems to make the most difference is when people actually have conversations, because I think that's what's missing in some of these supposed dialogues, that they're not. It's people doing monologues about what they think is right, and not wanting to, even if they're trying to supposedly in a room with somebody else, they're not actually listening. But getting people to come in, I mean, we love having like neighbor to neighbor tours, so small woodlands kind of tours, and you get people out. And whether it's like someplace small, like, our 40 acres, or I think the Tree Farmer of the Year
That was
stuff.
amazing.
Oh yeah, Cresswell Family Forest was astounding up near Corvallis. Farm, 1,600 acres, much bigger kind of property. So whether it's that, or actually even it's like Starker Forest or something, when people come onto a property and they actually walk it, talk to people who are doing the work on the land, discover how much they love the trees and the wildlife that's there and the habitat that's there and all of the things that they're doing. That's what changes people's perspectives, because you're not going to get it from sound bites. You're not going to get it, even from good interviews that are done. For the most part, it's actually, I think, putting your feet on the ground.
Right.
Being able to touch a tree, or see a tree, or see invasive vegetation trying to choke out a tree, and then find out why people are trying to get rid of that invasive vegetation because they love that little seedling. I mean, small woodland owners are funny people. We name lots of those trees. We talk to those trees. We care about all of them. And I think that there's even an element of that as you move, get bigger and bigger and bigger. People care about them. They care about the forest. Some of the people know them. Sorry.
I think people, it really, you're right. You're 100% right. I think it comes back to relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you two you came in and you humbled yourself because you knew you didn't, in your own words, I get to call my guests, you're idiots. And you didn't know anything. So you came in but you listened. And I think a lot of times what people do is they wait for this, they hear the sound, the person talking, and then they're going, oh yeah, but they're just trying to make more money and blah, 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 blah. And the reason XYZ timber industry, they say we planted this many more trees than we really had to. Oh yeah, well, they're just doing that for a PR stunt. It's like, no, they're trying to protect the creek that flows into your property and goes through there. They're really doing this. And I think we all need to take a step. I think the big word, I'm reading this, you and I talk. I'm reading this Jewish rabbi guy. And he says the fall of man and womankind is arrogance.
Yeah.
And when you let your ego get in the way, and I think this is what's going on in our country right now. It's like we have to start talking again, and maybe like the powers that be, not the powers that be, but in my world, God, someone else's, it might be universe, whatever that would be for people. But maybe it's waiting and going, I'm going to let you get to the end of your rope.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to start working together again, because,
Back to that sort of in the Jewish tradition, you have tikkun olam, to heal, repair, and transform the world. And it's like that's seen in the tradition as that's the task of every Jew. You know, we're co-workers with the divine to make those things, to make that healing happen. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of looking around to see there are lots of places that can be healed, repaired, and transformed. And it takes a lot of hands to do it.
But you know what?
If we do it together, it's not going to get done.
I just like you two, like who you are. I mean, I think
I was gonna say.
I am so glad that Oregon has you.
Oh,
You know, and I guess I could say, I mean, I could get myself in trouble, but that's just kind of what I do. But I don't think there's a lot of Californians that get welcomed to Oregon that much. You know, we've learned here is we were told, and we do this. People say, "Where are you guys from?" And we say, "Well, not California." and then Kate and Teresa, you can say anything except Washington D.C. or something. You can say anything, and you're okay. So then you go Oregon, and they go, "Oh," because in their mind they're going, "Well, that's not as bad as California."
We were talking to someone at length. I don't know if we should mention her name or not. Anyhow, we're talking at some length and having a great conversation. And at some point she says, "So how have you guys felt welcomed and received here?" And we kind of look at each other, and our first thought was as Californians, and she meant as a couple.
As a lesbian.
That hasn't really been an issue. And we changed our license plates as soon as we could, but
because we'd moved to Oregon to live in Oregon.
Not to recreate
California
someplace else.
I totally understand that, because that's what we're doing here. It's like I came to assimilate, and you guys are a great example of that, because you came in and you said, "Teach me." You know, if you want someone to eat fish, teach them how to fish. Okay. So you guys said, "I want to grow timber, teach me how to do it." And I think it's your attitude that has made it really easy for you guys too, to probably, or easier than a lot of people coming in and stuff. But, and now, so you guys, to real quick, just one more thing is, so you guys are now, I know Kate, you're involved with, now you're going out and working with the timber, like, programs to get trees. I mean, you're kind of in commissions or something. I mean, what?
I'm part of the Committee for Family Forest Lands, I'm the landowner at large. It's a committee that offers advice, I guess, in some ways, as a sounding board for the Board of Forestry and the State Forester. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how. We're poster children, we've decided, for, brand new landowners who lost their property in the fires. And so actually I do try to speak for folks who are new, folks who are really small landowners, and folks who lost their trees, because that's an ongoing trauma. I mean, it doesn't go away. They're still gone every day. So you don't kind of get over that in a lot of ways. So
you guys really did find your dream. It's just different than what you thought.
Yeah.
Dreams are sometimes like that, right?
Yeah, always like that for me.
There was a quote that I'm going to butcher, but it was something like, sometimes we have to let go of the dreams we had of the life we were going to live to actually be able to live the life we have.
Right.
And we had this brief time of thinking of this paradise in this amazing forest, and well, it's different. And sometimes that's really excruciating. But we have a different life, and it's been good, and there are good people in it with us.
And there are baby trees that, make it. And that's kind of cool. Watching them grow. I'm really excited at the thought that someday some of those trees will be taller than us.
Yeah.
So you guys go online, and I don't know if you listen to country music at all, but Kathy and I were at a gym in another town where we were living in Livingston for a while there. And we were she was on one side of the room doing the spin class. I'm on the other side. And this lady goes, "We're going to do country today," the teacher. And she starts going in, all of a sudden she starts playing the song. And she goes, "Oh, this is Rick and Kathy's song." And we kind of looked at each other, and it was Chris Stapleton's Starting Over.
Oh, nice.
And it was like, So I'd never heard the song before. Kathy listens to more country than I do. And all of a sudden we're halfway through this class and the people in the class are there. I'm looking over at my wife and we both just had tears running down our face. Well, now if we're having a shitty day and that song comes on and we just look at each other, we just start to cry because it's like, because it says in there's mountains to climb and, hard things that come in the way, but it's you and me. And we're starting over. We're kind of doing it again. And you guys did the same thing. And you're impacting Oregon, and you're giving voice to a topic that other people can't give. You were like perfect examples of people who were born for a time just as this. And I think we need you.
Thank you. That's
in a big way. And I still have my belt, and I still wear it, and I get better comments here because it has little trees on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because in Montana they go, yeah, we don't have the trees like that. And I'm going, yeah, that's kind of true. Guys, thank you for taking the time to do this with us. I really appreciate your coming on.
Oh, it's always great to chat with you.
Yeah, it's been really fun to have some time to chat with you, both when we talked last week and today. It's like, we really liked you when we met you too. So that was a great conversation. So I'm glad we can have more of them.
Well, let's keep in touch.
Okay.
All right. I'll watch you. See you later.
All right. Thanks.
Bye, guys. So how's that? I love those two. That's awesome. Just when people come in, I hadn't even thought of it from that perspective either, because my wife and I are doing the same thing that they're doing, just different. But we're all starting over. And, and I think we each get that opportunity every day to start over. You don't have to move out of state. You don't have to move into a new industry. Although I will tell you this, I will say this. Not trying to chase any of you out of Oregon or California or anywhere, but when you make a move that drastic, it really puts everything on the line. And I think sometimes that's really good to have your life put on the line, because it shows you what you're made of. It shows you how powerful you are as a couple, and I think it shows your family that you got one giant set of balls. So life is about balance. And back when I found out I had prostate cancer back in 2010, I did this video and I found it today, and I just think it's really super appropriate for the moment. So I'm just going to play this for you. And what I'm going to have you do is move in just a little closer, just so I can hear it better. Okay. Thanks, Michael, for your time. Ready?
Closer.
So start up, the upper body.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Do you want me to go above your head when you lift the weights over your head too?
Yeah. You can move back a little if you want.
Follow the dumbbells up?
Yeah, follow these up like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
And when do you want me to go down?
When I do 1, 2.
I'll go down to the ball. Stay down there.
Okay. What I'm finding in my life is that balance is everything. And in order to balance, you have to have a focus. I don't have to know where I'm going, but I have to have a focus that I can keep my eyes on, or else I'm going to fall. And well-meaning people and not so well-meaning people will come along and try to distract you. And the key is you got to keep that focus right in front of you. You can't look too far back, you can't look too far forward, and you can't look side to side. You keep that focus right there. And what I'm discovering is, if I keep that focus and keep my balance, that I can lift amazing amounts of weight and carry a bigger burden on my shoulders than I ever dreamed possible. Down. So how's that? That's called balance. And if you look straight forward at where you're going, and you keep your focus on that, and don't let people take you right or left, and never let them take you back. You can remember what happened in the past, but never go back. You will find amazing things. I have one more video I was going to air tonight, but this is the perfect place to close. If I could say what I want to do with the rest of my life, I want to do shows like this. And you're going to see a lot more stuff like this. We have some amazing stuff coming up this week. Um, and because you know what I honestly believe from my rabbi, there is an evil inclination out trying to rob us of our life. And you know how you get rid of the evil inclination? Good. You do good. Good tramples evil every time. So you can join arms with evil, or you can just start talking about the good. And evil does not like good. So evil has to run away when the good prevails. And there's a lot of prevailing good going on. We're just going to have to look a little harder for it. And that's what I intend to do. I want to thank our sponsors, Compton Family Wines. We couldn't do this without them. All of our sponsors do this because they like what we do. It's not for everybody, but it's for them. Chris Dental Family Dentistry, where everyone is welcome. And Albert Taylor, Endless Possibilities. Have a good night. Share this on your page so other people see it, please. This is the stuff they need to see, not all that other bullshit.